Hey there, I'm Susie and I'm the host of Beyond the Ferns podcast. Each week, I take you beyond the headlines into the stories that linger long after the news fades. From chilling true crime and unsolved cold cases, to paranormal encounters, cults, and extraordinary survival stories. It's a little bit of everything for everyone. Whether you're drawn to mysteries, fascinated by the strange and unexplained, or simply love a good story, I focus on the truth, the details, and above all, justice for the victims and survivors. So buckle up, things are about to get a little scary. Follow Beyond the Ferns wherever you get your podcast. Thanks, y'all.
Something's coming. Do you hear it? Can you see it? Trundling across the common, following the old holloways, sauntering down the lane, rocking up into the market square, laying out its wares. It reels you in with mysteries, trades with you fantastic tales, spins for you fascinating stories. Stories like the haunted pound stretcher, flying saucers, poisoners and body snatchers, haunted woodland, and the secret tunnels beneath our feet. Weird in the Wade is on its way. A podcast that explores everything that is weird, wonderful, and a little off-kilter in the town of Biggleswade in Bedfordshire. If you like your spooky stories told with a dash of historical context, or you like your history with a pinch of the paranormal, then this is the podcast for you. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to Weird in the Wade wherever you're listening now.
Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that will stay with you during the darkest nights. I'm your haunted host, Jennifer, your resident medium and your teller of ghost stories. And tonight I have for you ghostly tales of shadowy figures. Not necessarily shadow people. That is an entirely horrific, terrifying subject in itself. No, we are talking about shadowy figures outside of that realm. You'll see what I mean. After the spooky, stay for the spiritual. Join me at my seance table for a message from the spirits. This is when I open the space for someone to come close who has passed, who is connected to someone listening tonight. And this could be a connection specifically for you. That's later on in the podcast. But first, light an extra candle or two to keep those shadows away. The ghosts are here right now. I was 15 when it happened. I was driving home with my father along the windy back roads in Wisconsin. Dusk had settled into that deep blue hour where the trees look like silhouettes leaning too close to the road. We had just left my friend's house, not too far from home, and the woods on either side were thick enough to feel like walls. As we rounded a bend, something flashed at the edge of my vision. Black, smoky, shapeless, moving fast through the ditch and straight towards the road. It didn't run, it floated. By the time I turned my head, my dad had already seen it too. He jerked the wheel hard, swerving around whatever it was. We both sat there in that stunned, breathless second, and then he asked me, very quietly, if I had seen it too. I nodded. Then he told me not to look back. We drove the rest of the way home in silence, both of us scared in a way neither of us wanted to admit. What makes it worse is that it didn't end there. We never talked about that night again, not until years later. When we finally did, I found out he kept seeing that same black, shadowy thing lurking near the house we lived in back then. And the moment he said it, I felt everything inside me drop, because I had seen it too. Not inside the house, but always near. I never felt it would come in, but every time I thought about it or saw it, I had to force myself not to start tearing up. I've had my share of paranormal experiences, but this one has stayed with me. Even now, a decade later, living in Texas and far from those woods, I can't bring myself to dig deeper into what it might have been. I tried for years to explain it away as an animal, but nothing fits. Nothing moves like that. Nothing floats. And nothing looks like a cloud of living shadow rushing straight towards you. I can't explain any of it, but I know. I just know what I saw. And so did my dad. This story is way back when, during my spooky teenage years. My dad and I had always loved Halloween, and he had this tradition any time of year that he called spooking. Wandering old graveyards and cemeteries in the middle of the night just to see what we might feel or find. Nothing ever happened, not really, until the night something did. We were living in North Carolina then, and the cemetery we visited was one of those forgotten ones. Tilted stones, name worn down to ghosts of letters. We got there around midnight and walked for a little while under the sky so dark it felt heavy. By the time it was nearly 3 a.m., I was tired, quiet, and honestly, a little bored. Then, everything changed. I had just passed a grave so weathered it looked more like a lump of stone than a marker. Out of nowhere, that prickling sensation crawled up the back of my neck, the kind that tells you you're being watched, that someone is around. I turned, expecting to find really nothing, but instead, I saw my shadow on the ground, and next to it, another one. A full human shadow, arms, legs, head, perfectly formed, but there was no person standing there to cast it. As I shifted, my shadow moved exactly as it should, and the other one moved too, not in sync, more like it was choosing to move. It stayed about 4 feet away from me the entire time, as if that distance meant something. The shadow's limbs moved deliberately. The longer I stared at it, the heavier my fear became, growing fast and sharp. I tried to call out for my dad, who was only a few yards away, but he never reacted. Later, he said he didn't hear me at all, but in that moment, I felt completely alone. Then, I ran, and the shadow ran after me. I could see it stretching, matching my pace, chasing me with a kind of full-force intention that still makes my stomach drop when I think about it. I bolted for our truck, jumped in, and slammed the door. My hands shook so badly I could barely lock it. The shadow stopped right outside the window. It just stood there. I don't know how long I sat in the truck before my father finally came to join me. By the time he appeared, the shadow vanished, melting away as if it had never been there at all. I've seen shadow people before, but this wasn't the same. This was a shadow on the ground with no source, alive in a way shadows aren't supposed to be. It's been over a decade, and I've never heard another story like this. Maybe it was a trick of my imagination or being tired. I'm open to that, but part of me knows better. When I was a teenager, I used to babysit a pair of 7-year-old twins who lived down the block. I was asked to stay from mid-afternoon till around 11 p.m. at night. The kids usually went to bed around 9, so I figured I'd have a couple of quiet hours afterwards. As I was getting their room ready, one of them asked if I stay until they fell asleep. He said he didn't like being alone at night, and that a parent usually stayed with them until they were asleep. I didn't think much of it, and I sat down to tell a bedtime story. That's when I heard footsteps in the hallway. It surprised me. No one was supposed to be home until much later. I called out, no answer, and stepped into the hall. More footsteps. This time it sounded like someone was running away, but the hallway was empty. A little unnerved, I turned on every light and checked the whole apartment. Nothing. No one. I checked the door and the windows and headed back towards the kids' room, and a cold breath brushed the back of my neck. I spun around. Again, no one there. The temperature in the hallway felt strangely icy for the middle of August. When I returned to the kids, one of them asked why I looked upset. I assured them everything was okay, and we sang a few silly songs for a bit to lighten the mood, and then they were asleep. By 10:15, I was in the living room, still trying to shake off my own uneasiness. I turned on the TV and immediately felt someone sitting beside me. I looked. Nothing. The feeling didn't go away. Then, the recliner across the room shook back and forth, like something had nudged it. A moment later, a short, dark shadow glided past the chair. It didn't look human, more like a small, dense shape sliding along the wall. I tried to convince myself it was just the trees outside casting strange shadows, even though the lights were on and the movement didn't match. Then came a loud bang from the kids' room. One of them cried out. I ran in and found him on the floor. He told me the old man had pushed him out of bed. I told him no one else was in the apartment. Then he showed me his leg, a clear handprint, much larger than a child's, was pressed into his skin. I didn't know what to do. The other twin was sound asleep in the opposite bed. I checked the hallway again. Empty. I locked us inside the bedroom and I stayed with them. Footsteps started again outside the door, and they stopped right outside the room. 5 long minutes passed. When I finally opened the door, the shadow I'd seen earlier on the wall was there, perfectly still. After a few seconds, it slid away and disappeared down the hallway. There were no windows in that hall, no passing headlights, nothing that could cast a shadow like that. My fear finally kicked past denial. I called the kid's mother and I asked her to please come home. And when she arrived, she told me this wasn't the first time something had happened, but this seemed like more. I called my own mother, who had some experience with spiritual work, and I asked her to come. The moment she stepped into the apartment, before hearing a word, her eyes locked onto the hallway. She asked if everyone was all right, still staring at that empty stretch of wall. The next morning, my mom told me they called in a priest to bless the apartment. The family stayed there a couple more years before moving out, but nothing else ever happened like that night.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits tonight, so thank you for joining me in the candlelight. As I work to draw a spirit close, I have with me rose hips. Rose hips are often associated with love, friendship, and peace. They can be used in rituals such as love spells or cleansing ceremonies, because they are said to attract positive energy and enhance emotional connections. So work with rose hips if that resonates for you. Okay, I'm gonna take a deep breath, clear my mind, open the space. There's loving feminine energy coming in tonight. I'm immediately seeing like scrapbooking and photo albums, but there's very much a friendship vibe more than necessarily like a maternal vibe here. This feels like a cozy craft partner, so I'm feeling friendship. So this would be a friend for you that has passed. I'm seeing curly hair, glasses, they could be readers. Yeah, and sewing, threading a traditional needle, not necessarily a sewing machine right away. She also is sharing with me this quiet spirituality that she had. She's a very insightful woman, and yeah, I'm sure you would miss her source of advice and support like that. Know that you can reach out quietly to her and feel guided. Welcome her energy in with intention and specific asks. You and her share the need for variety in life, and it feels like you are very much like joked that you would get in trouble or do, adventurous things together. It does feel like you helped her take care of an older family member in her family. Your friendship started at a young age, so you are familiar with her family as well. Her message for you is she believes you are so creative and she loves that magical spirit of yours. She wants to encourage you to do anything you can dream of. Just explore, create, experience. Don't let life slow you down. Don't be distracted. Continue to connect with your heart and your soul and let it sing. Let yourself experience everything in this world that you want to do and how you want to create, however you want to express yourself. She thinks you're wonderful. Explore new ideas and don't be afraid to mix it up. She loves you very much. And again, reach out to her whenever you want to blend with her supportive energy. She's there for you. Thank you so much for letting me deliver this message for you. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed those shadowy ghosts that I shared with you this evening. Weren't they creepy? Have you ever had an experience such as this? I would love to hear your story, so please reach out. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.
For as long as we've existed, storytelling has been at the core of what makes us human. Across every culture, we've shared tales to uncover truths, to make sense of the unimaginable, and to preserve what must never be forgotten. At Macabrium, we honor that legacy. I'm your host, Megan, and every Tuesday I guide you through immersive stories of true crime and dark history, delivering gripping narratives without distractions, just the facts, the people, and the moments that shaped history. On Sundays, you can join Derek as he uncovers eerie tales steeped in the supernatural and legends passed down through generations. Whether it's meticulously researched crimes or chilling folklore, Macabrium offers episodes that stay with you long after they end. Follow Macabrium on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen, and we'll see you there.